All right, so we are back here on further review and looking back at the Super Bowl. What's
Mm.
your after this past game here, final game of the season? What's your biggest takeaway from the Super Bowl we
So
just watched?
yeah, my biggest takeaway is one word. As I watched the game, this one word kept popping in my head over and over and over again as I watched plays unfold. The word bully.
Mm,
Tampa Bay was a bully on really both sides of the ball too, with the run game, and then also especially on defense with how they got after Mahomes and um, really gave him no opportunity to do anything significant. He had just had a dismal day, but that's that's what came to my mind was just bully.
yeah,
They were a bully out there the
yeah,
entire game.
that's a great point. Just completely in control, completely in control, and like you said, on both sides of the ball for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That was a kind of a surprising outcome for me. I thought the Bucks would make issues for Mahomes, especially with the tackle situation for the Chiefs. But he really, man, he was running for his life almost the
And they
entire
gave him
game.
nothing, and they really didn't do anything to try to go against that either. Like normally they run some screens or some short routes to to Hunt or to Tyreek Hill or whatever, um, or some of their backs or Tyreek to Hill, but
Yeah,
they really didn't do anything. There was nothing done to try to take the pressure off them and attack the Tampa Bay defense.
yeah,
And
yeah. They didn't.
that was surprising to me too that they didn't do anything to try to counter that or to try to punch back against the Tampa Bay defense of running a screen or getting Tyreek in space or something.
Yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, and another great point that they didn't make the adjustments we were expecting them to, at least in some regards. My biggest takeaway from watching the Super Bowl is um, I don't know if there's anyone better at taking advantage of the end of half, beginning of second half than a Tom Brady led team. There's
Yeah,
just something
yeah,
about the way that end of the first half unfolded, and against my Packers the previous trip
yep,
before.
yep.
That's incredible, and it really you can see when you're clicking, especially when Brady's on, and he was so on in the Super Bowl, just vintage performance from him for number 7, and but when you're clicking like that and you're able to take advantage of that end of half and then come out strong right away in the second half, I mean, it's a as we saw in the last 2 games of the year here for the Bucks, it's a 14 point swing real quick. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's absolutely just insane how dominant the Bucks team was, and really, I mean, it it gave me visions almost of old Philadelphia Eagles teams coached by Andy Reid, of not being able to make those second half adjustments, of not being able to make those adjustments on the fly, of
yeah,
kind of collapsing at the end.
yeah. And it shows us just how tough. I mean, it hasn't been done in over a decade as far as a back-to-back Super Bowl winner. Just how tough it is to get there, to get to that point
Mm-hmm.
back-to-back, and to have that type of dominance. Which leads me into some of my other thoughts here. What do you think? What do you think this means for Brady moving forward, for Mahomes, the Chiefs moving forward? I mean, are they? Where do you see them? In the next year or so, are these teams lead contenders for AFC, NFC? What are your thoughts as we kind of look forward, maybe project a few months in the future here to the start of the next season?
Well, I think in the AFC, Kansas City is going to remain a contender. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah, I think
agree.
they'll remain a contender in the AFC. I think what to be careful of is the the Bucks really laid out the blueprint of how to defeat Mahomes, how to do that pretty well. And so you have the likes with some stout defenses like um, Buffalo
Hmm.
or other teams like that, especially with teams that have a good front seven
Yeah,
that can put pressure on Mahomes and still play coverage. I think they're not gonna. I think they'll still be contenders. Will they run the table as a 15-1 team next year? I don't think so. I think this, I think that part of the story is probably over, but I think they'll still be contenders.
Yeah.
I would be somewhat shocked to not see them in the AFC Championship game again next year.
Yeah, I agree. I think I always get nervous when, and you mentioned it, but like I'm not a big believer in blueprint of like, oh, this team showed the blueprint, because you have to have the athletes, and unless you
You have
have
to have the people, yeah.
yeah, unless you have David and yeah, like unless you have those linebackers, it's going to be tough the way they can cover the field, side to
Mm-hmm.
side on the field. But yeah, I mean the Chiefs, again, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but they've lost what, 2 games where they played all their starters in the last 28. They're still going to be a team that's
Yeah.
tough to beat. I look at the
Yeah.
Bucks. I'm curious to see, from their end of it. They just were such a team put together by kind of these miscellaneous pieces. It feels like, in a
Mm-hmm.
way they have a good core, and they've had a good core. But I just wonder, free agency and all those things of paying people that just came off of a Super Bowl win factor in. But I'm curious to see what this team, guys like Leonard Fournette, other players. It'll be interesting to see what this Tampa Bay team looks like. But if this year taught us one thing, it's with Tom Brady still playing at an elite level. He can carry a team, and a team.
Do you think Tom Brady comes back after this, or is this his final revenge tour? He's able to kind of set the narrative against Belichick as far as it being, Brady or Belichick, and now he can ride off in the sunset.
Yeah. So
on top of the mountain.
I could be wrong. I think he comes back. To me, Tom Brady doesn't seem like the guy that's going to hang it up unless he feels like he can't do it at the level of expertise that he wants to be able to do it at. So I see him continuing to play. I don't see him pulling an Elway and kind of rolling off or riding off, like you said, with the win. How about you? Do you think he calls it a wrap, or?
I think he does. I think his body language at the end of the Super Bowl made me kind of think that was it. How he took the final ball and tucked it away in his helmet, and then it just seemed like his body language. And I forgot there was something he said too. I can't remember what exactly that was, but some of the things he said in the towards the end of that game kind of just made me think that
maybe
that
it's
was
a wrap.
it.
Okay,
that was it.
So if you had to put a percentage on it, you think 80% he's done, or what do you think?
I wouldn't go as high as 80, maybe 70% chance.
70 though.
Yeah, I think it's a good chance. It's a good way to go out. I think he wants to go out as a winner. He's a highly competitive individual.
Yeah.
I think he wants to go out as a winner. He's able to prove he was able to set the narrative for being the greatest of all time, of not being under the shadow of Belichick.
Yep.
The collapse in Foxborough combined with his taking really dysfunctional team and leading him to the Super Bowl, I think helps set that narrative and cements him as the one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest, at least for the greatest, the most accomplished of all time by all means.
Yeah, for sure. And to have that, like you said, to have that win, kind of on his own. The biggest thing to me, and at 70, 70-30, does he stay, does he go? I'd put it, closer maybe to like 60% that I think he probably stays. And again, to me, it's the aspect of, in 3 months, does he think that he could get back there? And I feel like if he thinks that he's on a team or he's in a position where he could do this again, it'd just be interesting to see if that's intriguing enough to him to stick it out.
And I'm also curious too to see if he sees guys like Breeze, like Peyton Manning, who in the twilights of their years really struggled and they tanked pretty fast. There wasn't a whole lot of, if he sees that and thinks, hey, I want to ride the wave out, and I'm going to, I'll ride that same wave back in and then call it a day instead of having to go back out again and risk jeopardizing how folks view me, how folks think of me.
Yeah. No, I think
it'd be interesting too. I think too, if he does not come back, I think that Bucs team is a very interesting team to watch without Brady. Especially if they retain some of their core pieces, if he doesn't come back, first off, who stays but doesn't come back?
Right.
And then the team that does stay, what does that look like in the AFC, in the NFC South, especially if Breeze is done as well too.
Yeah.
You have a lot of change over there.
Yeah.
So that AFC South is a very interesting division then, or the NFC South rather, very interesting division if it's if
Yeah,
Brady
for
doesn't
sure.
return.
Especially at quarterback. It feels like it's one that's going to be feels like the NFC South is going to be kind of an interesting thing to watch, especially for quarterbacks in that division moving forward into the year ahead. So
yeah, and who knows what I don't know what the contract is for Brady, if it's a 1-year contract or whatnot. But remember too, you have some guys in the free agent market, potential free agent market, like Deshaun Watson, who Tampa Bay might say, "Hey, look, we can, we just won a Super Bowl with Brady. Let's keep the same core pieces, not have to pay this guy, a bunch of money. Let's get Deshaun Watson in here and see what we can do."
yeah, that'd be interesting to kind of create kind of a mercenary landing spot for teams that or for quarterbacks maybe or something like that might be able to get into a situation that's almost ready made in many results. But yeah. Well, I mean, we'd be remiss not to say congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on this Super Bowl. Congratulations to Arians. I mean, I know he's been hunting one of these for a while. Tom's got 7, but it's nice to see some of the guys getting one. Congrats to Todd Bowles. I mean,
for sure.
The game plan he played and the guys and what he got out of his defense, especially down the stretch of the season, was quite remarkable to them. So congrats to the Bucs fans that haven't seen this back in their town since 2002. And
what a great thing too, for the fact that they won a championship on their home turf too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Incredible too. That's pretty awesome. That is pretty cool.
Right. Yeah. And to have it right there, albeit not quite like a home game because of this year, but still to have it right there in your stadium is pretty cool. So congrats to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on the winning the Super Bowl here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As boring of a game as not boring, but as uneventful of a game and almost predictable of a game that it was. Still a great feat, and really to the NFL in general too, to be able to put on a season in the midst of a pandemic. We got through the entire thing. That was incredible. And really, a couple of delayed games, but nothing was canceled. No, that was
that's remarkable.
That was probably pretty good. You remember, you look at what the NCAA went through and their struggles with that, or baseball, hockey, and stuff like that, basketball. They got through the entire thing, so it's impressive.
Yeah, very impressive.